think the problem is that people, entrepreneurs, they would love the title to be a boss. They need to understand that their business is the employer and they're the employee. And you need to create systems, strategies, schedule, because you're the employee of the business to make sure that it's successful. Once you understand who's your target audience, it doesn't matter what anybody else say, because your target audience is going to find you and go, I need that. They may not comment, they may not like, they may not follow, but they're going to buy.
Welcome to another episode of the Millionaire Essentials Podcast, where we give you all the essentials to be a millionaire. You know, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon the Provider.
Yes, sir. And I'm the second host, Tevin Facey. And today we have the amazing, the beautiful, the multi-talented, the entrepreneur, the inventor, or right?
The investor.
Yeah.
No, inventor.
The
Yes.
investor, too.
Yes, but she's an investor. I didn't even know that.
The
I
Miss
found that out
Energy.
today.
Definitely Miss Energy.
Miss Ecstatic.
Ooh.
Miss Eccentric.
Oh, my God.
All these names. Okay.
Miss CEO First Lady,
The one and
a.k.a.
only.
Stephanie Hoyt.
Yes. The one and only. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to
here.
meet you. What's going on,
We
Stephanie?
definitely, all right, stop it. Don't do that. We
She acting
met
like
her.
this is the first
Right,
introduction, right?
We done met her many times.
What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up?
What's
It's
up,
your
what's
girl,
up?
Stephanie, the one and only CEO First Lady. Definitely the inventor of the only patent ad board there is in the world. So, yes, definitely.
So we're going to get into that. So who is Stephanie Hoyt? Who do we have here today?
Ooh, Stephanie Hoyt was born and raised in the beautiful country Barbados. I moved to the United States in 2006. And I ventured off from Brooklyn, New York to Jacksonville as a vice president for JP Morgan as a business relationship manager for 15 years. And now she's a 7-figure boss.
Okay. I like that.
That's crazy because
like
that journey right there, what she just broke down, she made it sound simple, but that's an incredible journey. And we're going to get into that journey, how she came from Barbados, an immigrant. We can say that word, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's not a wrong word, right?
No,
No,
it's
Ice
not.
ain't gonna knock on the door, bro. She good now.
I'm good. I got my favorite.
She all straight, bro. She worked for Chase. They gonna, you know what I mean? He just gonna let her do that.
So you came from an immigrant to a 6-figure salary at a corporate bank to now a 7-figure entrepreneur.
Yes.
So we have to break that down for all the young ladies, all aspiring entrepreneurs on how that came about. So let's start here, right? How did you even get into the world of banking, and how did you either get to Chase and go from that?
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've always wanted to work in banking from high school. I always wanted to be a banker. I don't know why. I just love, banking. I really love business. So when I left high school, and honestly, I didn't graduate. I'm going to be honest. I got pregnant at 17. I had my son at 18. My parents got divorced, and my dad chose to move me to New York instead of paying child support. I'm going to be very honest with you. And that was the hardest decision because I had to sacrifice leaving my son, who was 3 at the time, to move to New York City because I was only 21. So I was not at the age where I could file for him too. So my mom literally raised my son from pretty much a baby to the age of 13 when he moved from Barbados to New York City with me. So it was definitely a journey. I had to sacrifice from early, and I always had the mentality of figuring it out. I had to figure it out, from being a young mother to moving to America, not knowing anybody but my dad and my aunt, and had to figure out how to ride the train, how to get my ID, how to get my social security card, how to maneuver through New York City. If you know, it's not an easy challenge, riding a train, going the wrong direction. It was.
You wanna know why? It's because people like Brandon was fixing the train. He was the reason why the trains were messed up. You ain't know that? Did you know that?
This isn't my story. This is Stephanie's story. So continue on, Stephanie.
So I had to figure it out. I had to figure it out at a young age, and that's exactly what I did. And I didn't just jump right into a VP because, again, I didn't have no degrees. I didn't finish high school, so it was all about experience. And I always wanted to work in a bank. So one day I was working on Utica Avenue, and I saw the Chase, and I walked in there and I said, how can I work here? And the guy was like, oh, you have to go online and apply. And I was like, okay. And at that time, back in the day, I didn't have internet. So I paid $5. And when I got internet, And I went and I filled out the application. And I went home and I told my dad, I said, I went to the Chase and I went to apply, because I want to work in a bank. And true story, his girlfriend at the time looked at me in my face and was like, oh, you can't work in a bank because you don't have no degrees. My daughter have degrees and she can't work in a bank, so you have to work at like McDonald's or something. And I was like, what's McDonald's? Because I'm green. Like, I don't know anything, right?
You're not from here.
And she explained what it was. I was like, I'm not working at fast food. Nothing against, fast food, but I had a dream. I had a vision. So I listened. I was like, okay, cool. And I went. I already applied, and they called me for an interview. And I went for the interview. And it's a crazy story because I will never forget the date. So that was November 26th, I moved to the United States. My first day in the United States. December 26th, I got a job with Chase. And with my process of going for the interview, I didn't have a jacket. I literally walked the streets of New York with just this brown dress and heels in my bag. And everybody was looking at me like, it's cold, it's snowing, and I don't have a jacket because I did not understand the culture I was walking into. And my dad, we don't really have a great relationship. And really, truly, he didn't move me there because he wanted to. It was.
How long were you in the U.S.?
I was in the U.S. from 2006 to 2014.
And that's when you got the job?
I got it in 2006.
Oh, you got it in 2000. That's what. How long were you in the U.S. before you got the job?
Literally
Only
2
a month.
weeks.
Yeah. She said
Hold up.
Yes.
Because everybody out here talk about how hard it is to get employed, how hard it is to do this. And you were in this country for 2 weeks and you got a job at Chase?
Yep.
But that's a different time. You can't say that now compared to then.
And that's the problem. Every time is different, but the work ethic applies. It don't matter.
It's the same.
And
No,
that's
see,
what's
I
so
was trying to
special.
get you away from that. I didn't want to go viral again.
No, I don't care about going
Okay,
viral
no problem.
because
Go ahead.
That's what's so special about Stephanie, right? Not only she looks good, not only that she's talented, but the consistency.
Right.
Her work ethic, before I even knew any of that, her work ethic, and the proof is in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
Her work ethic shows in everything she does. And I think that's the issue with a lot of people out here. Like we say, it's hard out here to do this. It's hard out here to do this. This administration, this presidency, we make all these excuses. But if you keep working hard, if you stay consistent, it's going to show. And you're going to keep improving little by little by little. Absolutely. And that's basic testament of what she's breaking down.
Yeah. And I think that also even goes back to, the same viral moment that we were talking about, where people from another country, they don't look at it as like, no, I can't do it. It's, okay, I can get this done. And even with I guess your stepmother or your father's girlfriend at the time saying that, oh, my daughter didn't get this job. And that's maybe because she had a lower level job as well.
Right.
So her initial thoughts are like, okay, well, I got to go to McDonald's. I got to go to a fast food place, like things like that. Well, no, I don't. I can go for what I want and I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And that was your persistence. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I didn't know nothing about McDonald's, what they paid. I know that wasn't my dream.
Right.
Like, I wanted to work in a bank. So, for me, when I went and I paid my $5 and I applied, I answered the questions.
And you walked in your brown dress
and
and
I
your
walked
heels.
in my brown dress and my heels.
No jacket.
No jacket. Ears frozen, like, fingers frozen. Everybody looking at me like, the lady who interviewed me, she was like, Little Miss Sunshine. I would never forget this story because this is what keeps me going, right? And it's like my drive. It's like, she was like, Little Miss Sunshine, where's your jacket? And I was like, I don't have one. Like, I was so green, y'all. Like, I didn't understand the different seasons. Barbados is hot all year round.
Right.
So I didn't have any of that thing. I wasn't prepared, and my dad didn't prepare me either. So it's like I was on my own, even though I was living with him. So I had to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she was like, you got to go get a jacket. She was like, you're going to get sick. And I was like, okay. And Dennis, I don't know if you guys know Dennis, the store Dennis in Brooklyn. I went after, and I went and bought me my first jacket, and I kept that jacket till this day because it brings memories.
Right.
It's so important because it's like, damn, like, I did all of that to where I'm at right now. It's like those little sentimental things mean a lot to me. And that's why I push and I encourage people to not give up on your dream or your vision. Like, it could come through.
Right.
So,
It's amazing.
2 weeks, did my phone interview, I did my in-person interview, I did another phone interview, and they was like, okay, you're hired. And December 26th, I started working for Chase.
That's
And you was working there for 15 years?
Yep.
Because I work with on my 9 to 5, like as the joke he was trying to say, which wasn't funny. I worked for MTA. I worked for MTA for about 15 years. Right?
Oh, you really did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, you think
I'm
that was
tell-
a joke?
No, he's
I thought you were
literally the
joking.
reason
No,
why
I really did.
them train
I worked on
tracks
the
is
train.
messed up. It's all because of him.
I worked on the train
I
for
don't know
about
why you
15
laughing.
years.
It's the truth.
I didn't
But,
know that.
no,
That's
I
why I
did.
started driving. I had to stop. I couldn't.
So in your experience, right? Because I think another thing that we were told, right? Another falsehood, right? What a lot of black and brown people are told, get a city job, get a corporate job, get benefits, work there for 25, 30 years and retire, right? And really we working on a fixed income and just living our life on a certain amount of money that we're getting paid every week.
Right.
So while we're working on that quote unquote job or career, we're trained and indoctrinated working on that job to work on a hamster wheel, right? Do overtime, make this amount of money every year, and do it over and over again, right?
Right.
And we're trained in that mindset so long we get stuck there. So being that I was there and now you were there, how did you transform and get out of that mindset? Because there's a lot of people out there on 9 to 5s and they get into business and entrepreneurship and we were talking about it earlier, and cannot make that switch.
Right.
How did you make that switch?
To be honest, it was my clients. So I dealt with a lot of high-end clients. And my clients were, from a relationship 1, because I was a 1 up to a 2. So there's like different tiers and different levels. So
Hold on. Break down, because this is the Millionaire Essentials Podcast.
Yes.
We talk about funding a lot, and we talk about business relationship managers. And when we talk about it, you like to put us in our place. Because you were there.
Yes.
Break down what a business relationship manager is, and what do they do?
Okay, so a business relationship manager have different levels. So it just depends on which one. But either way, either it's a 1, 2, or 3 or senior, they manage. The only difference is how much money does the client need to make in order for you to be assigned that client. So when I was a 1, it was 0 up to $1 million. And then from a 2, it's $1 million up to, it could go $10, $20 million. So I was both. I got promoted after I moved to Jacksonville to a 2. And now my clients were like up to $20 million. But as they grow into $20 million, because you also have a cap. You can't get anybody new with that. You have to assign it. So that is not someone that sits in the bank. They have to be assigned that client. And that client has to have a certain amount of money. Their industry have to, have certain needs in order for us to work with them. We're not going to work with, the average business owner who just walked in and want to open a business account. That's not what we do.
So how can somebody, regular business owner, get in touch with a business relationship manager, and what can that do for that business owner?
It's definitely going to be a benefit to have a business relationship manager assigned to you. But you have to have your business set up properly for us to even take a look at you. And what I mean by that is, like, okay, if you have projections, that's why I talk about projections a lot. If you are projecting to make $1 million, if you're projecting to have a certain amount of revenue, if you're projecting to have a certain amount of deposits, then we can work with you as you grow into that and also teach you and let you know, okay, well, if you want to get an SBA loan or a conventional loan, then these are the things that you need to have in place in order to get approved. So we will work with you and help you get there because you're projecting it. But if you come in and you just want to have a small business account, with a credit card, we're going to leave that to the business bankers, which is the in-branch bankers. So there's different type of bankers that you will work with, but you wouldn't necessarily work with a relationship manager. You would have to request to be assigned one, but then you also have to meet certain criteria. If you don't meet the criteria, we're not going to work with you, unfortunately.
I think that's perfect, right? Because a lot of the clients that come to us, they're like, oh, I want $100,000, I want $200,000, I want $300,000. 1, they don't have no plan. 2, they're not even set up properly. And 3, they don't even know what they want to do with the money.
Correct.
So even in a sense, right, because obviously we have a funding company, right? We help clients get access to capital, but we're consultants at first, right? So we're consulting on these businesses. And in a sense, that's what you're doing as well.
Correct.
Right? You're consulting, you're helping them understand what their business is, what their projections are, what they're going to do. Like you just explained, right? So now, when it comes to being a relationship manager, too, right? And we've dealt with relationship managers 1, 2, 3, and seniors, just because we deal with different type of clientele. With you being a relationship manager too, because that's what you moved into in Jacksonville, and you said that it was your clientele that made you want to become that entrepreneur. What, like Brandon said, what switched? Right, and not to bring it back to that question, but also a new question in the sense of what switched, but what were they doing that ultimately made you want to switch?
So some of my clients, well, actually majority of them are older, been in business for like 20, 30 years. So we have to do something called site visits. And we have to meet with them every quarter just to check up, make sure anything change, how we can help them, save them money, whatever the case is. And
what is a site visit? We got to be granular with this. What is a site visit?
So a site visit is when you schedule an appointment with a client and you go to visit their business. And we sit down and we just...
A brick and mortar business.
Yes, their brick and mortar business. And we just sit down and we just go through changes, updates. Do they need funding? How can they save money? Do you want to switch to merchant processing? Like, whatever their need is based on what they give us, what information we give them, what information they give us, we give recommendations. So one day I was with one of my clients, a very wealthy guy, and he asked me the question. He just stopped mid-conversation. He was like, Stephanie, do you have no business? I'm like, no. He's like, why not? I was like, I love what I do. Like, I've been here for so long. I love helping people, and I never thought about it. He was like, what if Chase fired you tomorrow? What would you do? And that was a really good question because I had no idea.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just go get another job. He's like, no, with all this experience that you have and knowledge, you can start your own business and make way more money than Chase can pay you. And I was like, really? He's like, yes. He's like, so if you had to start a business, what would it be? And I say fashion because I've always loved fashion. And he was like, okay, well, start there. You know, you don't have to start big. Just like you teach me and other people how to start their business, do the same thing. There's nothing different. And I went home and I thought about it. I was like, But of course, I didn't take action. And our next meeting with the client, he said, you started a business yet? And I'm like, no. He's like, what are you waiting for?
Accountability
yeah,
right there.
you know? And every time, it took probably like 3 appointments. For the third time, he was like, you started that business yet? And I'm like, I'm going to start it. The next time you see me, I'm going to have something together. He's like, okay, go ahead. And I did. I started it, and I figured a plan out. I treated myself as if I was a client. And I sat down, and I was like, okay, what type of business? Asked all these questions. I filled everything out, and then Fashion Dolls got launched. And I actually started doing a little by little, and it was like $30-something thousand in there because I really wasn't into it. I just did it because my client was really like pressuring me, like, do this, Stephanie. I promise you.
You know what I love about that story, or even that small portion, right? Is like he said, right? We're on a hamster wheel when we're in that 9 to 5, and even though you came from, Barbados, you got the job that you wanted because you wanted to work in a bank, and you were moving up in those positions, right? Obviously, you can ultimately see that, hey, this might be the place for me for the rest of my life.
Yes.
I want to retire there. And that's the word I was just about to say.
Yeah, I was comfortable.
False. Yes.
Yeah, I was comfortable with
because then
what
now,
I did.
if Chase fired you tomorrow, you couldn't do anything about it, but go ahead and find a new job. And I think that was amazing that you were able to push past that comfortability. And I think that's what happens with most people in that 9 to 5 is they stay so comfortable, complacent. And I'm glad that we're able to have this podcast and even have this talk with you about it. Because maybe somebody out there can feel what you're saying and be like, damn, like, I was talking to somebody and they said same thing to me 3 times. And I love that you explained that part of your story. I really love that for sure.
Yeah, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You know, sometimes people see more in you than you can see in yourself. And my clients did because they really, we had a great relationship. It wasn't just you're my client. Like, we would go to lunch. He would invite to, family meetings and stuff like that. Like, it was a dad figure because they're way older, But they're also pouring into you as much as you're pouring into them because they could tell, your thing, you bigger than this, right? But I never started for myself. So when I launched my business,
Fashion Dolls
Boutique, I thought about it was 2018, launched it January 1st, 2019. And like I said, I was just doing little by little. I was like, okay, I'm going to just do a little something there. But when I realized how much I made, even at a little bit of time, I was like, what if I put more time into this? Really took it serious, right? Imagine how much money I could make because I wasn't doing anything. I was just side hustling, like I tell people, right? They always just side hustle. And I was like, okay, 2020, this was 2018, 2019, 2020, I started the year running it like a business. I teach my clients how to do every single day. And that year we did $180,000. I was making $10,000 plus a month. I could not believe it. I called my homeboy, which is, they still work at Chase, and I said, bruh.
How much was you making on Chase at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
It was $100,000.
So you were making almost double what you were making at Chase.
Literally. $10,000 a month plus.
And not to mention, if you work in New York, it's really like $60,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a book I read, right? Tevin don't like that I read, but it's a book I read, right? It's called
That's
Spook.
not true at all. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Tevin don't like that I read. It's
Ah,
a
see,
book
that's
that I
hate.
read. It's called Spook by the Door, right? I don't know if y'all ever heard of it or ever read it, right? So what you did and what people got to understand, especially when working on a 9-to-5 or their corporate job, you have to work in the system to know the system.
Correct.
Yes.
So what you did, you were working in the system. You were working with multimillionaires and millionaires, and you're making $100K, 6 figures, and you figured out, how am I getting these people money? Multimillionaires, and I'm only making $100K. So working in the system is what you have to do first to understand the system, to now know how to create your own system.
Correct.
And this is what we have to understand by leveraging, and that's why you're so great. You were in the perfect system, one of the biggest systems in the world, Chase Bank. You learned that system and know how to implement it into your own system to become a millionaire.
Right.
And that's what people have to understand. Don't be stuck in the system. Learn it to create your own.
Correct.
But the fear is when they go out and create their own. So now you're in the phase of, I created my own. I started making some money. But now how do I keep this consistent, going through my ups and downs? How would you keep that consistent?
The same, I literally treated myself like a client. Like, what would I tell my clients to do, or what would my client do in this scenario, right? Whether it was slow times, what were they doing? Figuring ways out. I had multimillionaires whose accounts were like literally in a negative or very little, and they're coming to us say, I need some more money so I can continue going and pay my employees. Their priority was always to pay their employees and get inventory. Those were their top 2 things. It wasn't to do anything else but to keep the business going. Even when money was coming in slow, they was like, I need to get some money, Stephanie. And even if we weren't able to approve them, because people don't realize that the bank is not going to lend you money when you need it, unfortunately.
There you go.
Okay.
I love that right there. That's
They're
it. That's
not-
all. That's all you need to hear for this podcast. Hey, listen, y'all. That's a millionaire. Nah.
People like to come to the bank when they down on their last,
Yes.
when they
I
like, yo,
swear.
I
They
need
are
some money
not,
next week.
Yes,
That's
they're
the
not
wrong
going
time.
to. They're not going to approve you, unfortunately. They want to give you money when you don't need it. When all of our clients, when we are going our quarterly checkups, we be like, hey, Mr. Tevin, how's everything going? Everything is great. We actually have, opportunity where you can get you some funding. You don't have to use it right now. You can just have it, just like a life insurance policy or a car, insurance. Like, you're paying for that, but you don't use it until you need it, correct? So that was my way to talk to my clients where it clicked. Because you can't talk to clients on bank terms or bank languages because they're not going to get it.
Correct.
So I used to use languages like, hey, so, you can just have it there just like your car insurance. You're paying it every month, right? But you don't know when you're going to need it, but you're paying it. So the line of credit is literally the same way. And I can get you X, Y, Z because I already know what their financials look like. Their bank accounts look like. So be like, okay, just send me over your last 2 tax returns or your P&L and balance sheet, and I'll take a look and tell you, how much I can get you. And we just give them the money, no annual fee, and just give them money. They don't need it. They're like, I don't need it stuff. I'm like, it's okay, just take it.
Just have it.
So
Just have it.
So your millionaire clients were basically like your mentors, basically.
Yes,
From afar.
absolutely.
So you follow the habits of millionaires.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what we tell people.
Absolutely.
Follow the habit. I know Instagram is cool, social media is cool,
It's
YouTube is
cool.
cool, but follow their habits, and that's where people fall off.
Yes.
Discipline. They don't follow their
You
habits.
have to. They're doing it. They're the blueprint. Regardless if they had a bet. I've seen client tax returns, 20 million. The next year, 15 million. You be like, what happened? Recession, things change, some contracts went bad, whatever the case is, but they never stopped.
Keep the
Never.
same habits.
They kept going. Even if they needed funding to figure out, if we can't get it, we always work with other companies where we would contact them and say, okay, I have a customer, he has XYZ in receivables. Can you let him some money off of those receivables? And they're like, okay, it may be higher, but they'll still take it because it's short term.
Correct.
Because they know what to do with that money to just go ahead, get what they need, pay it off, and kept going. So for me as an entrepreneur now, and even telling other people, keep going, figure it out. I don't care what you got to do, but keep going, because it's not always going to be this way, because I literally seen it. So for me, it's like, keep going. Because you can have a bad month, but next month could come and you just knock it out the park. Because you either thought of a strategy, something happened, you got a new contract because you're continually working and showing up.
You gotta explain that though, Stephanie, because it's easy. So no, because a lot of this, some people are naturals, right? Some people are born with this. Some people could keep going.
Correct.
The question is how.
You gotta figure out your why.
There we go.
So once you figure your why did you start Fashion House Boutique? To just get some money, some quick money, because most people do, right? We see a lot of social media. Oh, get an LLC, you can get some money, right? That's the science. So that's a quick money, right?
Especially now.
Yeah, especially now. But did you create your business because you have a passion for what you do? You love what you do? Can you do this thing for the next 15 years? I ask my students the same question. Can you see yourself working this business for the next 15 years? If the answer is yes, go all in. Make sure you get your trademarks, your patents, structure it everywhere, the right way, and keep going. But if you don't understand your why, you're not going to have the mindset to keep going. You're just doing it for quick money. So it's not going to be successful. You got to love what you do.
So Brandon said something earlier, right? And he said, obviously follow what the millionaires are doing, right? But you were following the millionaires because you were also a part of a structure.
Correct.
Right? And that structure brought you to those millionaires. But inside of that structure, it gave you the key qualities in order for you to even be able to coach those millionaires to do what you needed to do. Mm-hmm. So Brandon asked you a question earlier in the sense of, hey, what made you want to keep going? Like, or what made you able to keep consistent in what you were making, that $180,000 that you made with Fashion Dolls that year, right? Do you remember the principles, like from Chase, what they were teaching you that you were able to implement into your business that can be implemented to any business?
And that's the same thing I was about to say.
Yep.
So just how Chase trained us, they literally paid a lot of money. They don't do that now. They just put you on a computer and the training is a little bit different. We literally traveled and got trained in tax return files this
SOPs.
big, like, but they don't do that now. They train a little bit different. But however, they had a system, right? And every client that we worked with, the system is the same. So in business, you got to have the same system. So let's just say you're an entrepreneur. Let's say you have your Shopify and you don't even have to be making a whole lot of money, but the analytic reports, you should be looking at that to see where did your customers come from? What time did they come on your website? What they're looking at? Did they add to cart? What's your conversion rate? Like, those are things for you to study to understand, okay, 90% of my customers came from Facebook, 10% came from Instagram, then guess what? Post more on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to do this every single time. Mm-hmm. You can't, it's just like a system that Chase created. You have to create your own in business.
Right.
And follow through with it every single day, because we didn't change anything working with clients in a bank.
Correct.
Or in a job, period. They train you to do what? One thing, right? Mm-hmm. And you do it how often? Every single day.
Right.
So what makes you feel, because you're an entrepreneur, you're a boss, that you get to switch it up? Is the same strategy. You have to have a strategy, a system, a plan, and you're going to milk it. You're going to get up every day. I think the problem is, you know what the problem is? Can I tell you the problem?
Tell me. Please, I want to know.
I think the problem is that people, entrepreneurs, they would love the title to be a boss. They need to understand that their business is the employer and they're the employee. And you need to create systems, strategies, schedule, because you're the employee of the business, to make sure that it's successful. Just like you make sure you're hitting your goals for your job every single month, and your boss says, great job, Brandon, go do it again next month. What makes you feel that because you're an entrepreneur, that you do a good job last month, you get to chill the next month? Do you chill at your job? No. But if you have that mindset to understand and put yourself as, this is my business, I'm the employee of my business, and I have a structure, and I'm doing it this way every single day. Even if I do a good job in January, I'm going to pat my back. Great job, staff. Now go do it again. Because that's what they did to me. Plus, give me a little certificate and say, good job, make a big thing about it. Now go do it again. And this time, I'm doubling it. I'm gonna make your goal from 100,000 to 200,000 next month. It goes up every time. So what makes you feel like you can settle because you're a boss?
And I think what you said, that was really great. What you said is that
Yes.
mentality shift. So people don't understand what that mentality shift is, because so I work wherever I want to work, laptop, because I have my own business with my partner, right? But when I wake up in the morning, right, my worst days is when I wake up in the morning, because I'm my own boss, or I run my business. I open my laptop and do everything I do from the bed. That's my worst days, because I'm not showing up how I would show up if I was working somewhere else.
Exactly. Yes.
My best days is when I wake up, put my clothes on,
Go to your
go to the
Yep.
office at a certain
Yep.
time and get ready, because now
Exactly.
I'm treating my business like a real
Like a
business.
job.
I'm taking it serious.
Absolutely.
And
That's
I
how
think
you win.
When we say we entrepreneurs, we don't take our business as serious as if we were working at the job.
Exactly.
We don't show up and wake up at 7 in the morning like we want to
Exactly.
show
Like
up for
you
the
go to
job.
work. Exactly.
We don't take our lunch break. We don't do everything like we would do
But
for
if
the
you
other
did,
person.
if you did,
We would be in another
you'll
better
win.
place.
Absolutely. Because you'll always see a win.
Exactly.
So what you trying to say, bro? You trying to say I do that?
No, I know I be up early showing up, and then I be calling you be sounding groggy. That's what I was saying.
No, see,
But-
in the morning, my voice is just like that. You know what I'm saying? My voice is like that all the time. That's all it is.
Light skin energy. But so we have fashion dolls, right?
Yes.
So we have fashion dolls. You come from corporate, you go to fashion dolls. You're making that transition. Now you're making some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as I've been an entrepreneur, we've been business owners. I'm going to keep coming back to this because I know this is the most important part, the consistency. We've had our very good days and our very, very bad days.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times them bad days turn to bad months and a bad year.
A bad quarter, a bad year. Yeah.
Bad next
So
2
for
years
everybody out
sometimes.
there, right? When that happens, and that's where the majority of people say, yo, this ain't for me. I need to go back to this 9 to 5. How do we keep this going to be successful? I know one thing is, like you said, showing up. Showing up every day and treating this like how you treated your job. But now, how do we make this successful for the long haul?
You got to
For
pivot.
the next 5, 10, 20 years?
Now, it's a kind of a two-part answer to that, because you asked, how do you keep going for when you get the bad months, the bad
Right.
quarter or whatever? What do you do, right? You got to pivot. So you have to literally sit down and like study your business. Like, okay, this was slow. Why? Everybody gonna say it's recession, COVID. People not spending money. But then I ask myself, if I go to the airport right now, am I going to see people traveling?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that got money, right? People will spend money what they want to spend it on or with who, right? So how can I get that? What do I need to do more? Because a lot of times, like you said, people get comfortable, even as an entrepreneur, and you stop doing things that you probably were doing in 22, 21. You're not doing those no more. So for me, I go back to the basic. What was I doing when I made $800,000 in 2021? Yes, we know a lot of that was PPP money and all that. So let's just cut that in half.
You made $100,000 in 2021?
Yeah.
I can boss some.
But again, people was spending money because they got PPP, got stimulus. Like, people was outside.
It's
So,
2025.
no.
I'm counting
2021.
pockets. I'm counting pockets.
Yeah. Go ahead.
2021, there was outside. You know what I mean? Because I started my business when COVID started. When nobody was supposed to be outside, I was like, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to do this. And everybody was like, are you crazy? Nobody's outside. But to go back to that, you got to pivot. You got to, okay, what can I do different? What can I do more to make this work? And you got to study your business and also look into getting a mentor to teach you what you don't know, because you don't know everything. I don't know everything. So I signed up for mentorship programs and I learned a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go try that. Tried it. It worked. I was like, okay. So you have to also invest in yourself. Even though the business is not making what you want it to, that's why you got to save, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have to invest. You got to take risks to learn more. Because if whatever you're doing isn't working, somebody out there is doing something that's working, and I need to know what they're doing. So a lot of times we can't YouTube everything, we can't Google everything, we can't chat GPT everything. I'm going to pay you, say, hey, you're doing exactly what I'm doing in my field. You know, obviously more than me. I'm going to pay you for you to help me.
And this is what people don't understand, right? Because especially 2025, people act like black people created mentorships. Mentorships is scam. Like we was the first one creating mentorships. Number one, mentorships were around before we created them. We just make stuff look cool. That's number one. Number two, the myth is, yo, why you selling people education if you're already rich? Why you making money off other people? Now, this is the second myth. If I create a network and create other people rich like me or successful like me, we grow our corporation, we grow our conglomerate even bigger. So why wouldn't I do that? So if I help my brother become rich, if I help my sister become rich, we all grow together even bigger. That is the point of mentorship and helping people, to grow a successful ecosystem where we grow bigger. And people don't understand that. So for the people that don't want to invest in mentorship or feel it's a scam, they're going to stay stuck in the same place. So I don't like to talk in theoreticals, right? What you're doing now, what is Fashion Dolls and what does your business structure look like?
So Fashion Dolls is a women's luxury boutique. It's also e-commerce, and I have a brick and mortar store in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Orange Park Mall. So I'm an escort. So of course, LLC.
Wait, say that word again, because that word didn't sound right.
She said S Corp.
Oh, okay.
Damn,
That didn't sound right.
That's why you need
Was
headphones.
it me?
We got
That word didn't sound right.
Engineer, I ain't going front.
Was that me?
We gonna need some headphones for him.
You're an S Corp.
S Corp.
Corp.
Okay,
Yes.
it sounded like something else.
That is
What
a
does it
tax.
sound like?
That's a tax
You're an
classification.
S Corp, not an S Corp. A S Corp.
What
Yo,
it
he
sound
said-
like?
He said the same thing twice.
Exactly.
No.
Escort.
It's all right.
Say
Just move
S-Corp.
on. No, just move on. Just don't worry about it.
It
Just
sounded like
move
you
on.
said escort. That's what it sounded like.
Escort. That's not even what I said.
Yeah.
You get
Nah,
your
but
mind
keep
out the
going,
gutter.
keep going.
Get your mind out the gutter, okay?
What's the escort?
So there's different levels to your business. So you could be a standard LLC, which is similar to like a single member sole prop, and then you have S Corp or C Corp. So when you get a higher tax bracket, you're gonna have to go a little change in your S Corp, C Corp.
She's trying to say that
$100,000.
Look, you gotta make a little change.
Like, you make some money, you're gonna have to go a little
S Corp.
a higher tax bracket. So the more money you make, it's gonna change. You're not gonna stay a standard LLC single member your entire business. You're gonna have different levels. So S Corp, C Corp, it's a little different in the tax, baby. Don't even. Whew. But anyway, can I file an extension? I'm gonna file an extension because, baby, the taxes.
You ain't
It's
gotta
no
keep telling us
joke.
how much money you making.
That's
But
basically
what-
what she's saying.
so-
she letting us know.
But anyhow,
Yeah.
to answer the question, okay, I forgot the question. What was the question?
Break
What is
down the
Fashion
business
Dolls?
structure of
Fashion Dolls.
What
Okay,
is
so it's a
Fashion
S
Dolls?
Corp.
What do you do? Break down the structure.
So that's what I just said. Okay. So I have a women's luxury business, and it actually grew from social media, to be honest with you. Because I was in a community and I was coaching over 10,000 women on how to take care of their bodies after plastic surgery. And that's how my patent product became,
patent.
the patent, the ad board. I invented it after I realized that the product out there was not doing what it needed to do. And I actually created my own ad board, and it went crazy. So I patented, and we have sold over 25,000 plus, and it's doing amazing. It's like the best ad board.
25,000 plus products?
Yeah.
Not $25,000. 25,000 products.
Products.
Yeah, no. Yeah, don't worry. You can do the math.
So
That's amazing. That's
it does
amazing.
really well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm an S Corp.
Bro, you can't go into selling ad boards. I just want to let you know that.
It's-
now.
I was thinking about
I know. I saw you.
No.
Your brain.
I
You
was
started
thinking
putting the numbers together. You
No.
said, "Hold
I
on,
was thinking about
25,000
It's patent,
plus."
so you can't play with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, just make the male one.
You just have to cut
I
me a
ain't gonna
check.
hold you. You can make the male one,
Men
bro.
can wear it. Men do wear it.
Make the male one.
No, you can't
Now we
make a
got
male
patent.
version of it because it's one ad
what I'm
board.
saying?
Men and women can use it if they wanted to.
Oh, so you made your joint unisex.
Absolutely.
All right,
So
she got us.
how are you scaling your business?
Okay, so I have a CPA and accountant that helps me with that. I use a profit and loss calculator twice a month. So the 15th and the end of the month, which is very important because you want to understand money in and money out. And of course, our profit and loss and balance sheet, you look at that every quarter because you want to be able to understand where can I cut costs, because that's going to show you how much money you're spending and if you need to be spending money in this area or cutting back. So I have an amazing team that helps me manage that, and they do amazing in making sure that I don't spend too much and I'm spending it in the right areas. And when I need to, re-up and what's our best selling products, we need to 2x that or 3x that. So my team he's amazing. Like they do really well in helping me manage my business and making sure that I stay on budget.
That's
Because that's very important. Cash flow is very important. So the profit and loss calculator is going to help you understand if you put, let's say, 10,000 in there, and it calculates up to 100%, and it'll tell you, okay, you can spend $20,000 in inventory this month, and you can spend this much in doing this month, because every month is not the same. So for example, if you're making $50,000 or $100,000 or $20,000, you can't keep buying $10,000 in inventory every month, because you're not making that much. So that's going to help you balance out and figure out, okay, well, I could spend 5 this month. I could put, 5,000 in marketing or 2,000 in marketing based on how much revenue you're bringing in.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I know there was a lot of questions that was asked in a short period of time. I know we haven't been able to answer all of them, right? What would you say, right? And this one I really want you to answer, because I think this is super important. You said your team, right? I know a lot of people that are making money, they either, one, don't have a good accountant, or they say, my accountant wasn't good. I had to look for a good CPA. I had to look for a lawyer. I had to look for a good team, right? But you were able to find that team. So, one, I know you just said you just said what your team looked like, right? But how were you able to find that? How were you able to trust people to be able to delegate and be able to help you take over the tasks that you were doing that you weren't great at, that that somebody can come in and do so for you?
So you said something, it's all about experience, right? Because I've had bad CPAs.
Right.
I've had CPAs. I had a CPA that did me wrong, and I was paying them a lot of money every single month, but they weren't adding. It's like I would have like, okay, why my vehicle isn't on my depreciation? Like, where is that? And they're like, oh yeah. So it's like you have to have some type of knowledge in your business as well, because sometimes you pick up on things that they don't pick up on. So I had to get rid of them and find a new CPA. So a lot of times it's just experience, because you might think that you need something, but then you really don't, or vice versa. So I had to go through some bad apples to find a good apple.
Right.
Just the same thing as employees. And one thing my client did taught me is that you're going to go through employees. You're going to go through turnover, and not be afraid to fire or let go of somebody, or just it's like it didn't work. Like,
yes,
don't
that's
hold
very
on to
true.
don't hold on to somebody because you feel like you need them, because you need to grow or you need a team. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, move on, get somebody else. So that happened. I had to go through some bad employees. I had to go through a bad CPA to find a good CPA.
Right.
Because now I know, okay, I'm going to start asking questions, because this bad CPA taught me something I didn't know. And now I'm like, okay, what about this? And do you know this and this and this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll hire you because of experience.
Right.
So you're not going to know everything, but I feel like every business owner, CPA or accountant should educate them on some little basic stuff like add backs, depreciation, amortization. I call it EBITDA, right?
Right.
So you guys know what EBITDA is. So
yes.
I feel like,
well, we know it, but what for the audience, very granular, right? Like Brandon's saying, what does EBITDA mean for a lot of them people
right now?
Yep.
So EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So what it is if you look at your tax returns, you're going to see all of these things, right?
Correct.
And you have to pay attention to it, because it's pretty much a part of your cash flow.
Yes.
And a lot of times, as well as add back. So add back is something very important that a lot of people don't know. The bank don't really teach you or tell you this as a client, but I'll share it with the world because I feel like it's very valuable. If you have a new business or just a business in general, and you have anytime you have one-time expenses, it's considered an add back. So what happens is if I go and I put up a sign in my business and it costs me $10,000, I can actually add that back to my bottom number because it's a one-time expense. So maybe if I was in a negative or I didn't have, enough cash flow, I can actually add that $10,000 back, and now my cash flow is looking good, so now the bank can lend me some more money.
Yep.
So this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't know, and they should, because they do have one-time expenses that they're not going to repeat year over year that they can add back to their bottom number.
Yes.
So just understanding like basic things like that, and depreciation. Like if you own a vehicle, it depreciates over time. So that should be on your return and your P&L, your balance sheet, like all that should be there. So a lot of times if you're doing things in your daily life and even if you tell your CPA or not, there have you and 100 more clients, they may miss or drop the ball. But when you're going through your reports quarterly or however you do it, you should like, oh, okay, I don't see this here and I have this. Like, what about this? Because, again, they're not, geniuses.
Right.
They make mistakes too. So I feel like businesses should know just a little bit. They don't have to be, accountants or CPAs, but they should understand what their CPA is doing.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And this is very important what you said.
I just want to say this one thing. My fault.
Go ahead.
With you saying that about the team, I think it's super important for everybody watching this, because a lot of people feel like they don't want to delegate or they don't want to have a team just yet because they feel like they want to keep doing everything themselves because they're like, yo, I can't find anybody reliable. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to go through that.
Yeah. You're
As
gonna
a business
go through
owner,
that
entrepreneur, whatever you want to call yourself. Mm-hmm. If you own a business, you're going to have to go through that in order for you to find your perfect team.
Correct.
And your perfect team may not be your perfect team even then. Mm-hmm. You still have to go through those trials and tribulations.
Absolutely.
That's the way how you keep growing as a business owner, and then be able to even work with your banker when you get to that point, right? Mm-hmm. Like, as you heard, all of the millionaires that were under Stephanie, they were still coming back to Stephanie, even though they probably had their own team. Mm-hmm. They had their CPAs, they had their lawyers, they had their CFOs, they had their COOs, they had all of the people on their team, but yet they still would come to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Or when you went to talk to them, they would talk back because they know that having a good banking relationship manager that's next to them is super important. So that's something I definitely wanted to say to the audience, and I think that's something that if you are in business, you need to understand that to a T, because that is super important.
Yeah, because you add value to people. Like, for me as a relationship manager, I was adding value to my clients. And even though they made millions of dollars, they would still miss, or their CPA would still miss the fact that my client is buying a commercial property, but he's providing me information to purchase the property under his main company. Let's just say Fashion House Boutique.
Right.
And I'm like, hold up. We are not going to do that. You need to create a holding company.
Right.
And they were like, what's that? And now I have to educate him on what a holding company is and why he should purchase a property under a holding company. And they're like, okay, let me run it by my CPA. And the CPA was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Exactly.
Who told you that? So now I'm working with the CPA, and the CPA is sending me all of his clients because I'm advising them correctly. So it's like you build a new relationship, getting new clients from a referral, or just you advising your client properly. So you're still going to need that relationship manager because they're going to educate you on things that your $2,000 a month CPA is not teaching you. So, again, it goes back to relationships.
People are just lazy, bro. And I'm gonna be honest. Like, people say I want to work hard, but people really don't.
They don't.
They don't know what work. I think they don't know what work hard is. It's not just physical. It's mental.
Yes.
It's exhausting. It's people don't understand
Emotional,
what work hard means.
Yes.
It's emotional.
Yes.
So it's a heavy burden you have to carry, but to be great, that's the burden you have to carry. Mm-hmm. And you have to work through it to be great. When I met you, right, how I got familiar with you, one of the big things that stuck out to me was marketing. One thing you said earlier was social media. Marketing. So a lot of the problems you just broke down, you're not going to have a money problem if you have no clients.
Right.
So a lot of stuff she just broke down is extremely important, but you're not going to have any of these issues if you're not making any money. So marketing. Introduce us to how does somebody go out there? Because I hear this word a lot nowadays. I'm an introvert. I don't want to go out here camera. I don't want to do this. Everybody's all of a sudden an introvert in 2025.
It's 2025.
Everybody's an introvert.
You're not an introvert?
I don't even know what that means anymore.
No, for real.
Marketing. How have you blown up off of marketing, and how important is marketing in your business?
It's so important. Like, I wasn't running ads when I made my first 6 figures. It was all from social media, Instagram, just showing up, going live, talking to people, and just being me. Like,
And just one platform, just Instagram.
Yeah, just Instagram.
It was just Instagram. Wow.
Just Instagram. And I had a private community, too. So it wasn't like public. My page was...
Hold up, engineer. Pan it on my man Brady real quick. Look, do the eyes again.
Like, I feel like people in today's world, they watch social media, and social media is turned into like an aesthetic thing where it has to look pretty, and you have to be a certain way, and and if they don't feel like they're that, they don't do content. And content is not, you got to get pretty all the time. Literally, you could be in your kitchen cooking and just have your camera rolling and that's like a behind the scenes, that's content. Like anything is content. And I think people, don't realize that content is literally your daily life. You're just filming it and just putting it out there. So
how do you separate that though? I think that's the problem that people don't understand.
Yes.
How do you separate that and make it about business? Because a lot of people think, I don't want nobody to enter my personal life. So how do you separate that and say this is about business and I'm growing it, making it about business?
you have to figure out what is people's problem and you're providing the solution. So now you're taking the solution and you're providing content based off of that to the audience problem. So now the audience can go, I need that.
Aha. That's the aha moment.
The aha moment.
Provide,
I need that.
So you provide that every single time.
Every time. For me, my content, if you go, is me showing up and solving people's problem. And sometimes I don't have to say anything, right? I do indirect sales sometimes because I don't like selling all the time. I love to teach and just show up and
look beautiful.
Yeah,
and look like who
people
you are.
want to look good. You know, people want to lose weight. People want to look good in their clothes. They want to, whatever it is.
I'm sorry.
You just show up as that person.
This is my immature side. This is my immature side right here.
Oh my gosh.
So this is where the aha for the men come in, right? They're showing up and look beautiful. That's where the aha when they see you, they go, aha, that's who I want. So how do you separate that now? Right?
Separate
Because
what?
so
Men
like you,
just clicking just because you look beautiful.
Because you look,
actually people buying in.
Exactly. Yes.
My clients are women. Of course, men are going to be on the page and
Right.
just being men. But I don't go for that because I know who my target audience is. So once you understand who your target audience is.
That's what I was waiting for you to say, the target audience.
Yeah,
part,
you got to know who your target audience is. So once you understand who's your target audience, it doesn't matter what anybody else say. Because your target audience is going to find you and go, I need that. They may not comment, they may not like, they may not follow, but they're going to buy. And it happens to me a lot. I have a lot of high-end celebrity people who use my products, don't follow, never commented, never liked, but they wear my product.
Hey.
Duchess is one of them.
Oh, okay.
She never followed me.
There. She not
Never
playing.
followed me.
not
She
playing.
never liked. But one day,
Oh, golly.
she was outside doing the lawn with my product on, and everybody was tagging me like, "See, Frizzy, that's your waist shirt, that's your waist shirt," and that's where branding goes. When you have a brand that people can literally
That's where branding.
not
No,
branding.
Yeah, branding. Branding.
It's very
yes.
important because when people see it, they're like, "That's Stephanie's waist trainer," right?
And that's the consistency.
That's the consistency.
So a lot
So
of
when they
people-
saw that, they was like hitting me up, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, she's wearing my product." And yeah,
That's the issue. A lot of people like instant results. Things got to be tangible. So if they don't see nobody if they don't see nobody comment, they think it's not working. They
Yeah.
don't see nobody share, they think it's
Absolutely.
not working. But it's a build up.
Absolutely.
You get people in your ecosystem, then they slowly start buying, and once they become familiar with you, it's easier to sell them. So
Exactly.
you go from cold to warm to hot client, and that's how you really make the longevity and make the millions over time.
and results.
And results, fulfillment, proof of
Results.
concept.
Fulfillment.
Proof.
yes.
You have to show that it works because people are not just going to buy something because it's a hype. They may, but then they're going to talk bad about you. That don't work. It don't do the thing, right? But they're not going to sit up on my product because I show results every day. My customers, my dolls, I call them, they will comment, I will pin it, I will add in the story for somebody else to see because I call my stories, window shopping, right? They window shop, meaning they don't follow, but they're going to watch your stories and they're going to end up being following you, then they're going to end up being a customer because they're constantly seeing you showing up. So it's so important to, understand that who is your target audience because somebody may say, oh, that's too expensive or, oh, okay, you're not my target audience. Have a great day. Because somebody else going to come and go, that Shopify going ding, ding. Buy the same thing that somebody said it's too expensive. So it's
And
really
they still
important to
keep- and
understand.
still raising your numbers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have to really understand who your target audience is.
So,
So-
let me get comfortable before I ask this question.
Oh.
I just got one last question.
One last, and then it's me. All right, I got you.
Because this is what I don't understand.
Oh, all right. I know what's going on.
This is
I see
what
what's going
confuses
on.
me.
I see what's going on. Okay, no problem. No problem. Just go ahead.
This is what confuses me.
All right.
Because just
Oh,
knowing
man.
you, right, in the short period of time that I've known you, right,
Oh, Jesus Christ, it's coming.
you have a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're very successful,
Say the next word.
which I didn't know until after I spoke with you. You're very intelligent. And you've had a journey of going from corporate to entrepreneur to very successful businesswoman, right? And in my circle, just my circle, I've seen this trend a lot, right? Because I network with, I'm blessed to network with a lot of highly successful men and women, right?
Oh God.
What I don't understand.
He's preferencing it good, boy. I tell you, this boy. You gotta put him on CNN.
If you don't mind me saying, why are women like you single?
I do it.
This is what I don't understand. What is going on, and how hard is it to find someone out here to match your energy, your high, your drive?
I'm going to say this for me, because I can't speak for all women, right? For me, in my experience, men are intimidated by me. You know, I'm like you said, all those things, right? So it's like they feel like, oh, you got everything going on. Let me come correct. Or, you know, you're a boss. So, oh, you got this or you got that. So they're very intimidated by a successful woman. And I have standards. I have values. So it's like I'm not going to lower my standard for anybody, you know. And not to be cocky or anything like that, but you got to come correct. And for me, I show up as what I desire from a man. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to take myself on vacations and flights and buy myself flowers. Because some people are like, oh, I want a man to do all this, but they don't do it for themselves. So I do everything for myself so I can attract the man that I want because he can see that I take care of me. So hopefully he comes along and just add to what I have going on and not take away or feel like you got to be somebody that you're not to be with me.
I think that was perfectly said. I think that was because I don't want him to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, no, I'm not, because we could be here all night.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was perfectly said. And thank you for answering that question so elegantly, right?
You're
now,
welcome.
My question is, what does the next 5 years look like for Miss CEO First Lady Stephanie?
So my next 5 years is to...
You don't have to include the ring that he's trying to allude to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. If that's included, yes, you can include that.
Absolutely. I want a husband.
Yeah. See, now you down in her. You
No,
say
I
that's
didn't.
not going to happen.
I definitely
No, I didn't.
I definitely want
No,
a
I didn't.
husband.
I
So,
said,
talk about it.
No, see, you see how you try to play me? I say you don't have to include that because you know what? What happens with most, and this is just my opinion, right? He had his own. I have my own. I think with most women, they feel like they have to include that ring coming in 5 years, or they have to include that ring coming in 10 years when it can happen at any time.
Yeah.
I think being happy with who you are in the moment and continuing on like that, I think it's super beautiful.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm going to attract the right person. They're going to
At
come
the right
along.
time.
Yeah.
Manifest. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in 5 years?
Gonna,
Yeah, so-
my husband's going to find me.
In 5 years, yeah, in the next 5. Word.
It could be tomorrow. They watch this podcast. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, okay.
You know, let me hit her up in a DM.
You good? You need some water or something?
But no, like I'll just decide. In the next 5 years, I actually already started the process and talking to, my CPA, but I'm looking to license my ad board so that other companies can use it like a white label.
Your ad board, okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna do that, where other companies will be able to like white label it and have their brand on it, and be able to use it in their own companies. But definitely right now we wholesale. Having my manufacturer company here in the U.S. is definitely big because you already know shipping is crazy and the time that it takes. So I definitely want to have a local manufacturer and then have multiple locations and definitely one in Barbados.
That's amazing. So giving back to where you came from.
Absolutely.
That's
incredible. You know I'm Bayesian, right? I told you that before?
No, you're not.
Yes, he is. So serious. See, the problem is...
What part of Barbados?
My grandfather was in St. Michael. He died in St. Michael's.
For real?
Yes. I told you that before, I think.
No, you
Don't let
didn't.
him the Google search you.
I mean, I wasn't born there, so you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't...
But you got family for real, for real.
I'm dead serious.
See, the problem is he play around a lot, and he keep that straight face, and you would never know, but he really is Bayesian.
Oh,
But
wow.
anyway,
Okay.
So tell him where to
Maybe
find
that's
you.
my, energy.
Nah.
No.
Nah.
Anyway, so tell him where to find you, where to tap in with you, and what you got going on right now.
Okay, so you can definitely find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Thread, Facebook, YouTube. CEO First Lady. My store is located in Jacksonville, Florida, in the Orange Park Mall, so you can definitely stop by if you're in the area. I also do business coaching. So if you are interested in my community or mentorship by me, you can definitely reach out to me on my website, stephaniehoyt.com. Also, what is the next question?
Everything you got going on right now, where to find you? That was basically it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
So that's
you
it.
did a great
You
job.
got the ad ball going on. You got the community, which you pushing crazy. You're giving crazy game. And I told her she got to push that more because the game she gives out for free, I told her she need to charge.
He did.
I ain't gonna
So
front.
definitely jump into that community.
The amount of games she just gave on here, like think about it. Most people don't know half the information you know. Not even half, a quarter of the information you know,
Right.
especially in their own business. So I think that's amazing that you can come out and give that free information that you should be charging for.
We just had another crazy episode on the Millionaire Essentials Podcast. One of our great guests, Stephanie Hoyt, CEO, First Lady. She broke down how she went from corporate to business owner to millionaire entrepreneur. Make sure you catch this episode. She's an inspiration for all women with my co-host, Tevin Facey. Stephanie, give a couple breakdowns of what you told them on the episode.
So we talked about business structure, the importance of having a business relationship manager, which is very important. Understand that marketing is key and to always keep going in your business. And one thing I'm going to leave you guys with is by Les Brown. He said, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So get started.
Oh my God. Look, she said marketing is key, guys. Make sure you guys follow her on Instagram at Miss CEO First Lady, correct?
Yep.
And just make sure you check out the episode. It was an amazing episode. You're going to catch a lot of gems, y'all. So make sure you check it out. Listen, y'all, this is Tevin, my partner Brandon, and also Stephanie. Make sure you catch the episode and make sure you look below so you can subscribe, get all of her links, all of our links. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.
It's your girl, Stephanie, and I just tuned in with the Millionaire Essentials Podcast. It was so good, guys. You definitely don't want to miss it. And one thing I'm going to leave you guys with is you can leave your 9-to-5 and be a 7-figure boss. So make sure that you get started. Les Brown said it best. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Go ahead, comment, like, share. Let's get it.